Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Nihal. Let's discuss another very important interview question. What is REST and what makes an API RESTful? So this is one of the most frequently asked question in web API interviews, especially for experienced developers and fresher as well. So let's understand this step by step. First, what is REST? REST stands for representational state transfer. So REST is an architectural style used for designing lightweight, scalable, and efficient API over HTTP. It's not a protocol like SOAP. Instead of it is a set of architectural principle or guideline used while building APIs. REST API are widely used in modern web application, mobile application, cloud platform, and microservices architectures because they are simple, fast, lightweight, and easy to integrate. Most REST API commonly use JSON format for communication because JSON is smaller and faster compared to XML. Now the most important question is what makes an API RESTful? A RESTful API follows certain REST principle. Let's understand each principle one by one. The first principle is stateless communication. In REST APIs, every request from the client must contain all required information. The server does not remember previous request automatically. This means each request is completely independent. For example, if authentication is required, the token must be sent with every request. This stateless nature improves scalability and performance. The second principle is resource-based URL. In REST APIs, everything is treated as a resource. For example, API slash user is one of the resource. API slash order is the one of the resource. These URLs represent source instead of action. Good REST APIs use clean and meaningful URLs. The third principle is proper usage of HTTP method. REST API use standard HTTP verb for different operation. For example, get for retrieve data, post for create data, put for update data, delete for remove data. This makes API easy to understand and standardizable. The fourth principle is client server separation. Front-end and back-end are completely independent. The client only sends request and server only returns response. Because of this separation, front-end and back-end can be developed independently. The fourth principle is support for standard data format. REST API commonly support JSON and XML, but nowadays JSON is the most preferred format. The sixth principle is standard HTTP response code. The REST API use proper HTTP status code like 200 for success, 201 for created, 400 for bad request, 401 for unauthorized, 404 for not found, 500 for internal server error, like that. Using proper status code improve API clarity and debugging. Now let's understand the second diagram with a real world example. Here we have a food delivery app. The mobile application acts as a client here. The backend server handles business logic and database operation. And between them we have REST API. Now let's see how REST API work in this scenario. In the first step, the user opens the app and browse restaurant. The mobile app sends this request, get API for restaurant. The REST API process the request, fetch restaurant data from the database and return response in the JSON format. In second step, user place an order. Now application send post request, post slash API slash order. The server create the order and return a success response. In the third step, user checks order status. The app send get API slash order slash order ID. The API returns order details and current status. In the fourth step, user cancels the order. The app send delete slash API slash order slash order ID. This API removes or cancel the order and return the response. So for this example, we can clearly see how REST API use resource-based URL, HTTP methods, statelet communication, and JSON responses to perform operation efficiently. One important interview point to remember is a RESTful API is not just an API over HTTP. It must follow REST architecture principle properly. That is what makes an API truly RESTful. And because of the simplicity, scalability, and flexibility, REST API are now in the industry standard for modern application development. So this is the complete understanding of REST and RESTful APIs. Now let's move to the next interview question. Thank you.